Welcome back, everyone, to the Back 40 Firewood channel, and welcome to part 2 of the backyard transformation. Phase 2, I guess, of the backyard transformation. So in the first phase, you saw that we dug out this silo pit down to a certain level where I just stopped and I turned it into a fire pit. And like I said in the previous video, and if you haven't seen that video, I'll throw the link up there. But that served as a fire pit for about 2 years. And then there was just every time I sat down here in the fire pit, I just had this feeling like, I didn't get to the bottom of that silo. And something inside me just wanted to keep digging and wanted to keep going to see how deep it really was. So that's what we did in phase 2. So as you can see behind me here, these rocks are some of those rocks from that silo pit and the surrounding perimeter of the foundation of the silo. So yes, we started digging again. But this time I did have a little assistance with a little mechanical advantage because there was a lot more to dig out. And the idea we had required a little more moving of dirt than I wanted to do with just the wheelbarrow and the shovel. So if you guys are ready, I don't have too many videos. I have a couple, but I do have a lot of pictures that I'm going to show right now and show you what the fire pit became. And like I said, you can see these rocks behind me. And so I'm down right now in the bottom of it. So check this out and see what you think. So we had our fire pit for a couple years, and then we decided to do something a little different and dig it all up again. So that's what I did, is I got the old shovel back out and started digging up because I wanted to find the bottom of this silo. And the idea that we had, we wanted to build something unique to our backyard. So after digging and digging, here's all the rocks that I was digging out, and I wanted to save these to use again. And then I brought in a little mechanical advantage, the ditch witch. And this was a big help with moving all this dirt and kind of grading back the banks and leveling things out. And the only problem is I couldn't get this ditch witch all the way down into the hole. So here you can see I would drive up to the edge, and then I'd shovel up dirt and rocks, and then I'd haul it away. So that kept going, and finally we reached the bottom. And there it is, the bottom of the original silo. So now we started digging back the sides and the banks, and I was kind of grading things to the way I wanted them. And I needed to have this silo pit. I couldn't have the rough edges of the rocks that they were right there like that. So what I did was I used bags of chicken feed, old chicken feed bags, and just kind of put a little barricade around those rocks so the edges weren't sharp. And here you can see is the pit, or the ring of the silo. I lined it with a little insulation, styrofoam insulation, and then like I said, I used a few layers of those chicken feed bags and dog food bags and held them down with sand, just because what we were going to do was we were going to build ourselves a recreational pond or a water feature. So there's all the material I had to work with. I had all this rock. I had dug everything out. I kind of had the basic shape of what I wanted. And the idea and the concept was I was going to use a drainage tube that would suck in the water, and then I'd be circulating it around and trying to pull the water from what they call the regeneration zone, which would be like the shallow end, and then I would feed that back into this deeper end, which would be like the splash pond, or like a little splash pool. And it would all kind of be circulating around, and I would be using like plant life and like a gravel base to let the sediment and anything settle into the gravel, and then hopefully the water would, stay clear. Well, this didn't really work that good, so we ended up actually putting in like a little saltwater system. But that was the main idea to start with, was the recreational pond and like using the silo pit as like the splash pond. So after we had all this dug out and after I had pretty much the shape that I wanted, then the next step was laying down some underlayment, and the big challenge was rolling out and putting in place a huge rubber liner. And here you can see I had to actually fill a little water into the bottom of that pit to just hold the bottom of it in place as I kind of pulled and moved the liner around. And then I laid the underlayment, like the carpet, on top of that liner and then started placing rocks. And there you can kind of see that tube that I was talking about, like running underneath the gravel that would like pull the water in. So then I drained out the pond again. I put in those edging pavers as like the ring of the silo. And then on the bottom of the silo pit, I got a little fancy again with some other pavers. So I bought these pavers and I kind of filled in the spaces with river rock. And here was pretty much the layout of where we had placed all of the rocks. So I bought a couple loads of river rock, obviously, but then all those other big rocks, everything you see there was all recovered from the silo pit. Now we start filling the pit with water. It took a few days to get it filled up. Now I put in that little platform there. Here's Amanda doing one of the first test plunges. And there's the little boss man. Look at those curls. So after a few days of circulating, the water did clear up nicely. The gravel did kind of act as like a filtration system with pulling the water into that big tube. And then we just circulated it around with a little waterfall pump. And yeah, it was really nice. So go along with the pond, I did want to continue to have a fire pit. So that's when I started, with the help of Little Boss Man, building basically a platform to sit on and kind of look over the water and have fires. All of the wood that I used here, it was either pallets or the main part around the fire pit. Well, here comes another cannonball dive, or jump. That's Amanda and her son Aiden. And that's pretty much what we'd always do, is just plunge into that deep end and then kind of get up into the shallow stuff and just enjoy the water. But all of this wood here is reclaimed lumber from an old garage that I tore down. And I think there are a few old barn boards in here as well. But basically I just built like little 3x3 pallets and kind of joined them all together on basically like a floating deck. And there's the old tractor tire rim still serving as the fire pit. And here's a picture of the clan celebrating one of Boss Man's birthdays. And there's little Boss Man and his stepbrother Aiden enjoying the water. And that's what we did. It was a blast to have. I mean, it was great to just be able to jump in on a hot day and even go for a little cruise on the kayak. So there you have it. The backyard transformation fire pit became a recreational pond. Water feature with a splash pool in it. And yeah, it was a crazy idea that we just put in that sweat equity and made it happen. So it was great, and it's still used as that today, sort of. But as I mentioned in the first video, there's 3 phases. So the next phase will be a sort of an upgrade to the transformation you just saw. And so we added a few things and did things a little bit different, but like I said, you'll see that in the next video, which will be phase 3 of this series on the backyard transformation. And right now, currently, in the winter, we drain the pond out, or at least we did this past winter. So that's why I'm standing down in the bottom of it right now. And that's why those rocks go way up there above my head. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Part 2, and now stay tuned for part 3 coming soon, where this transformation gets another little transformation and a bit of an upgrade. We'll see you next time here on the Back 40 Firewood channel. Until then, stay safe, have fun, and be cool.